Hello, everybody. This is Brooke, and I would like to introduce you to the Habitat for Humanity ReStore, and I will turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I am Julia Drubick. I get the privilege of being the volunteer coordinator at the Habitat ReStore and working with wonderful volunteers like Herb. And we are here to talk about the volunteering opportunities at Habitat ReStore. A lot of times I always ask people on what do you know about the ReStore? A lot of times people don't understand and see the connection between the ReStore and Habitat for Humanity. And ReStore is obviously an arm of Habitat for Humanity. And when people come in to purchase items in the store, that money that we raise from those sales actually helps Habitat for Humanity purchase brand new building materials to build those homes in Brown County. So even by working in the ReStore, you are actually helping build those homes in Brown County. So that's how it's all connected and how we kind of fit together. Our volunteer opportunities, like all the organizations now with COVID, are trying to kind of follow the guidelines of having our volunteers as well as customers wear masks and keeping the social distancing with the volunteers. So those are all critical pieces that we try to follow every day when volunteers are here. So before we get into too much further, I'm going to introduce Herb and have him talk a little bit about why he volunteers at the ReStore, and then we'll get into more about what the volunteer opportunities are at the ReStore.
Hi, I'm Herb Grolke, and I've been volunteering for probably going on 8 years. And I guess the reason I got into volunteering in the hardware section, it is my background, but then I made a comment one time, I thought the hardware aisle needed rearranging, and Carl said, it's all yours, and it's never changed since. But I do enjoy it. I volunteer 3 days a week now, and I do work with some of the students from Curative, and they are super workers. Some of them have already found other jobs, so I don't want to take any claims for that, but they have learned a lot, and they do work with me, and I do enjoy it. As far as volunteering in the hardware section, I'm willing to work with anybody, whether they have a background in hardware or not. Do-it-yourselfers, well, they're a natural. They come in because they've been buying screws and nuts and bolts for years, but I will be willing to help anyone. I'm pretty flexible on my days, so that if volunteers, some of them like to work in the forenoon, some afternoon, I'm flexible on that. So it is a joy just to work with these people, and believe me, I learn a lot from the people too. And so knowing where the money is going for the help, it just means all that much more to be able to do it. And I am retired, except now I have a full-time volunteer job. But no, I'm enjoying it so much with not only the volunteers that help me or the other volunteers in the back room, but also many times with customers. If I happen to be in the store, many times customers ask me, want some information about hardware, and I'm more than willing to help them out. So I enjoy every phase of it.
Great. Thanks for sharing, Herb. Some of the volunteer roles that we have at the Habitat ReStore include, obviously, the one that people are probably most familiar with is our cashiering, and because obviously that's our customer service person that as you walk into the store, that's the person that greets you, welcomes you, and also helps check you out. And we're very fortunate that just recently that many of our items, we now have a barcode system. So for those volunteers that maybe been a little nervous about cashiering and can I remember all of those things, and with our system that we had previously was all manual, so you did need to know the codes, and you needed to know the price, and you needed to know the color, and you needed to enter all of those things in. Now that we've gone over to the barcode system for both the volunteers that do the merchandising gets to put the barcoding on, but once you come up as a customer, that cashier can just, with the swipe of the the scanner, get your item into the register, and everything is much faster for both the cashiering as well as for the customer. So we're very pleased to be able to offer that. So hopefully for the volunteers that are out there wondering, you know, I'm really looking for that volunteer opportunity where I could do something for cashiering. Right now, cashiers are doing 3-hour shifts. So the store hours right now are 10 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. So for the cashiering, we break that up from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock and then 1 to 4. But again, it's always up to the volunteer and what they have to offer and what kind of time commitment they would like to give us. So we really start there with any volunteer opportunity. But for the cashiering, that's how we've structured that. We're open to the public Tuesday through Saturday. So that, again, kind of offers some opportunities for volunteers as well. We are closed to the public on Monday, and we have invited our volunteers in to work on that day. And so for some volunteers, that's a great day to come in because we are closed to the public. So they get to do some of those things. So you'll find her working on a Monday from 8 in the morning till sometimes 3 in the afternoon, working on hardware. And that gives them that opportunity to be able to price things, to do their job, to help the ReStore, but then not have to have customer interaction. So some volunteers choose to do that. So it works out well for us as well as for getting the merchandise out there. And that's basically what Herb does, is a merchandise prep volunteer. So, and that basically means that the donations come in from the residential customers as well as the business customers. The items come in, we sort it out, we let it sit for a while before we process it due to the COVID rules. And then once we can handle it, then they go through it if it needs to be cleaned, priced, and then it's put out on the floor. So that is a fun volunteer opportunity. You get to see some of those treasures that come in our back door before they even hit the sales floor. So anyone that's really into that, we have some volunteers that help us with doing doors because that's their background. So they do doors and doorknobs. There's a volunteer that just loves to do tools, so that's his specialty. Herb obviously handles and takes care of our hardware. There's another volunteer, Jan, who loves to do hinges and more doorknobs and handles for us. And so it's just, we try to find out what's your interest level, what's your skill, what's your background, what can we help you with to help us out at the ReStore. So once again, we kind of put that back on the volunteer to find that right niche and that right opportunity. And then there's also a group of volunteers that do nothing but help take metal apart, and metal recycling volunteers. So that group of volunteers, the items that are either come in our back door as a donation that we, for whatever reason, we can't sell but has metal, then those volunteers take that metal apart, and then we recycle that metal by brass, by copper, so if you come to the ReStore on a tour, you'll see different buckets for different metals, and we recycle all of that, and all of that income helps us once again help with the building of the new homes. So it's really kind of finding that niche of what that volunteer wants to do. And then another group of volunteers that we're always in need of that can be a really fun opportunity as well is the donation pickup assistant. So we have one volunteer that goes out with our truck driver to actually go to those businesses and go to those residential customers to pick up those items that they're willing to donate. So that can be a great way to get in the truck and go for a ride, and also get some physical fitness and some physical exercise, helping us carry and getting those items into the truck. We obviously do have all the right equipment to make sure that it's safe, and we have a lift on the truck. So all of those heavy lifting kinds of things, we do as many safety things as possible for both the volunteer as well as staff. So it can be lots of fun that way. So I don't know if you have any questions about some of the opportunities that we kind of talked about.
I have some questions. I think people might want to know, how does one become a volunteer? What is the process?
So, and actually we are going to be on Monday, September 21st, because the ReStore is actually closed on that Monday. We will be offering volunteer orientations and tour of this ReStore at 10:30 in the morning, and then another one in 2:30 in the afternoon. And if for folks that aren't able to join us on either one of those times, we can set something up individually or in a small group at another time. So we pretty much, as volunteers reach out to us, we can set something up with them and get them in the store. And usually we do those orientations either at 9 in the morning before the store opens, and then kind of give them a walkthrough of what those opportunities are, introduce them to some volunteers, and then get them into our online system, and then schedule them for their first visit. And like anything else, we try to make sure that when they do come in for their first time, that they kind of have another volunteer as a buddy to kind of show them the ropes and to kind of work with, so they can kind of see that whole process. So that's the best way, is to kind of come to one of those orientations, or just obviously just reach out to me, and then we can set up an individual time to make sure that it works out for both the volunteer as well as the ReStore.
Do volunteers sign up or register for those orientations, or do they show up?
We do have the information out on, you can go to restoregv.org, and there is a volunteer link on there, and they can just kind of follow the information and the prompts, as well as if they went to greenbayhabitat.org, the same thing, there's going to be a volunteer link, and it'll either let you volunteer with either the build site or the ReStore, and they can kind of pick which opportunity is going to work for you, and the orientations for those are out there. There's also information out on our Facebook page about those orientations that will be coming up, and the contact information to let us know that you're interested, and we can get you signed up. So due to the building being closed on Monday the 21st, we would want to make sure that we know that people are coming at those times. We'll obviously be kind of watching out for folks, but our front door will be closed and it won't be open. So.
You had mentioned times that you are open to the public. Would you say that most of your volunteer opportunities fall within that? I think you said 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. or
Yep. The store is open from the 10 to 4, and actually the volunteers will get in as early as 8 o'clock. So we do, that's when the staff gets to the building. So we do have volunteers that pretty much start almost at the same time. As I said, something about Herb is in. There's a group of volunteers that pretty much on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're 8 to noon. So there are some of the hours for the merchandise prep volunteers are 8 to noon and noon to 4. So once again, it's up to the volunteers. There are some volunteers that will come in at 9 o'clock and then leave at noon. Some will come in at 10, some will leave at 2. So our shift, once our system that we record our volunteers in is called Give Effect. So once you become a volunteer, you'll be into our system, and we are trying to do everything online. So it tracks the volunteer, and as most nonprofits do, we also track the volunteer hours that our volunteers give us for any opportunities for that in-kind of grant opportunities, as well as volunteer recognition. So we think that as equally as having the volunteers in the ReStore is also having some form of regular volunteer recognition to thank them for their hours and their service to the ReStore.
Julia, you mentioned a safety precaution or a procedure that you guys follow because of COVID, letting donated items sit before you process them. Is there anything else that potential volunteers might want to know about safety precautions surrounding COVID, or volunteering during COVID, or anything like that?
Yeah, when someone comes into the building, we have them go through the same door. So everyone kind of comes in the same entrance. As soon as you come in, there is a form, and I'm going to guess that this is pretty typical for most nonprofits these days, is you need to fill out a questionnaire and just answer some questions for us that, are you feeling sick? Are you having any of these symptoms? Have you traveled, especially if you're coming in for an orientation, we don't really know much of your background. Have you traveled out of the area? Have you been around anyone that has had COVID? So obviously we asked people, and then if someone does say yes to some of those questions, then of course we said, well, we're going to need to reschedule and have you come back at a different day, that we don't let them go past that location. Once their answers are, nope, I'm fine, there's nothing, they can answer no to all those questions, then we get that step further and then go into the building and where the volunteers and the customers would be. So, and we have people wear masks. So pretty much once you enter our building, you're asked to wear a mask, either as a staff, a volunteer, or a customer. And that is, there's only certain areas, obviously once you get to the break room and when they're having a break, having water, having lunch, that's, an allowable space to take the mask off. And then once they leave that area, then the mask goes back on. We have taken the time to, in the workstations for the volunteers, to go back and also in the break room, the area is marked off with orange X's. So people can kind of see that, okay, this has been measured and it's 6 feet apart from where the other volunteer would be. So then they can have that idea of that space as well as wearing the mask. We also have, obviously all the sanitation supplies available to any of the volunteers as well as the customers. So that is always there as well.
Well, Julia, I think you've shared some really great information about who you are, what you do, what volunteers do, and Herb, thanks for sharing a little bit about what it's like to be a volunteer at the Habitat ReStore. Anything else that you guys want to share to prospective volunteers?
Well, I know that there, one of the things that we just started is because we always joke that Herb has job security, because when you come to do a tour at the ReStore, we take you to what we consider the back of the house. And Herb has a lot of hardware, and that is actually a lot. We're blessed as an organization that people are in these times still donating to us, and actually we just also recently started, the donations are going online as well. So if there's someone out there that says, you know what, we do have a couch or we do have something that we would like to donate to the ReStore, you can actually go to restoregv.org, and there is now an online way to schedule your pickup, which also would have that volunteer link. So both of those opportunities are there. So if you're looking to either volunteer your time or donating an item, that link will show you the different opportunities and how to get involved. But knowing that we've been blessed with so many donations coming in, and we're very thankful that the community is supporting us that way. We have started having Herb kind of pack up some of his hardware and actually going, and we have 2 volunteers that are kind of testing it for us right now, that they actually took hardware home to do sorting and packaging. So I'll let Herb talk a little bit about that, but we're thinking that might be another way, kind of that virtual kind of opportunity, that people don't need to be in our building, but could come in, we could package it up, give you the instructions, and you take it home. We could see that as a great way for either businesses or school groups or church groups that maybe feel comfortable around their own members, and maybe they take that back to those locations. But then you're helping us out and helping out those homeowners by taking that hardware home, sorting it, and then bringing it back to us when you're done. So I'll let Herb talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, this was not a normal until they closed down the store, and I think it was a week or so later, Julia called me and asked whether I could let any of the staff people know how to price or package stuff. Well, from home, I had no idea what I had. I know I had tables full of merchandise because it was a kind of a surprise when they decided to shut down the store. So I asked Julia whether there was a possibility that I could pick up this hardware, bring it to my garage, and sort it out and do it. And we tried it, and it worked very well. However, I was spending many hours in my garage. But anyhow, it did work out well, and they're willing to try it now. Just this past week, 2 of our other volunteers that wanted to continue to help the ReStore, but not necessarily be in the store. I packaged up a number of different containers of miscellaneous hardware I've sent along extra containers. I asked them just to kind of sort it in categories of hardware, not needing to price it or weigh it because they need a scale. We'll do that back here. But I'm looking forward to this working out really well. And if this works, it's going to help me because I can put this stuff, I mean, it might be an ice cream bucket or something like that, but if they can sort it out at home, and then when it comes back, we can price it because not everything is priced at the same rate. And we weigh, we measure the different items, but that would be back here at the store. And hopefully some of those volunteers would be able to come back and help us with that procedure too. So I'm looking forward to that. This would be a great couple hands extra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. Obviously, as more nonprofits are looking to do the same, what are those creative ways that, can help us get the work done, let those volunteers still feel connected and that they're giving of their time and still feel safe. And so that was kind of our way of saying, you know what, I think that could work, and the volunteers that have taken it home have been very excited about it. We do have some opportunities that people could probably, in a small group, kind of help us out in the next couple of months, is we have some new merchandising come in. And whenever we get new merchandising like that in there, we can actually, there's an area in the ReStore that's kind of like our construction area that's off the sales floor, that if a group of people wanted to come in and help us price and organize some of that new merchandise, that's also an opportunity. So you're once again kind of away from the main floor of the sales floor, but then doing a project that would help and impact us as well. So there are a couple of other opportunities that if there are some groups out there that want to do a one-time opportunity, we can definitely find those opportunities to help you out, be it on a Saturday or during the workday before the store opens, we can do that too. So there's lots of opportunities. So we always try to find the opportunity for that volunteer and what's going to work for the ReStore as well as that volunteer, and then everyone wins. And it's lots of fun. I mean, I'm going to guess every nonprofit says this, but our volunteers at the ReStore are so amazing and so giving. There's so many herbs that are here, and we are so appreciative of their time, their skill, and their just genuine love for their community, because that's, they're helping, they know that they're helping out families that are going to be getting those affordable homes. So we're just very happy and pleased to have them as part of our family at the ReStore. And we'd love to have more people join us.
I have a question for Herb. Herb, if there was a potential volunteer who was thinking about maybe volunteering at the ReStore, what would you say to that volunteer?
I guess first come in and visit us. And when they, like Julie said, you get a tour of the place so you can see all the different stations or different departments that are done. And if they are interested in hardware, I am more than willing to work with them, give them as much help as I possibly can. And no, just come on in and see the place first. And then they can pick and choose, and they might work in one department for a month or two and decide, well, I'd like to try something else. I'm sure we can work that out to let them have more experience in a different department. But anyone is welcome in my department.
It sounds like that flexibility would be appealing to many volunteers. That's wonderful.
Yeah, flexibility and fun. Why would you do it any other way?
All right, Julia, do you have anything else to share with volunteers?
I just want to thank everyone for watching and tuning in and asking any questions. We're at the ReStore. Just let us know if you're interested in joining us on Monday. And if not, if Monday doesn't work, just reach out to us and we can schedule an individual time and go from there. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.